Good evening. In the scriptures this weekend, in particular in the first reading and in the gospel, Jesus speaks to us about this truth, that God is present in the world in the church. That if we want to experience Jesus Christ, and if we want to experience God, we do it in the church. And there's two things in particular that he tells us about this. The first is this, that we get to heaven as a church. And in heaven, we'll be united closer than we feel united to our families here on earth. So that same kind of cohesiveness and I will do anything for my family kind of feel that we can have here on earth, we will have even more so in heaven with regard to the entire church. And so actually it becomes our responsibility to try to bring the whole church to heaven and to keep as many people on board with the church as possible. And so in particular, for those who we have authority over, and I'm thinking in particular parents over their children, it's a lofty commission. It's a lofty task and mission that we're given to try to bring those we are entrusted to, bring those who have been entrusted to us into the heavenly kingdom with us. In the first reading, he's telling Ezekiel that if your brother is sinning and you have authority over him and you do not correct him, he will fall into hell because of his guilt, but you will be held responsible. Often we don't think that way. We think, I should maybe do them a good service and try to help them. But here God is actually saying, for those of us who have been given authority, that we are actually held to a higher level, that we are going to be held responsible to a degree for those over whom we've been given authority. So I'm at a school, right? I'm a chaplain up at Bishop Ryan. And recently, a third grader, which this is impressive to me, a third grader asked me the question, Father, why is it that priests can't get married if saints can? I was like, wow. Now, of course, there's some saints who were priests, so they couldn't get married. But her point was, there are some saints who are married, and that's true. And they were able to get married. And so she's thinking in her mind, these holy people are supposed to be holy people, these priests, and these saints are also holy people. Why is it that saints are allowed to get married, but priests are not? And it was a great question. And so this got us into a little bit of a conversation, but the gist of the answer and why it's connected to the readings this weekend is we get to heaven as a church, and we have all been given a particular task. Because she actually said to me at one point, isn't marriage good? Yeah, marriage is good, which is why it's actually difficult for a priest to give it up. And that's why probably many guys delay in entering seminary. That's why I delayed in entering seminary, because trying to grapple with the question, will I be happy without a wife and family? And yet, what it all speaks to is that so many things are good, but God has given different things to different ones of us, different members of the church. Money is good, and some of us have been given a lot of money. Some of us have earned a lot of money, but we earned it because of the gifts that we were given, because of the particular talents that we have, or the particular family that we were raised in, over which we had no control. So in a way, even that money that we earned itself is a kind of gift. Some of us have money, and that's good. Some of us are allowed to get married, and that's good. Some of us, those of us who are priests, get the gift of getting to celebrate the sacraments. I never foresaw this, but the sacrament of confession gives me so much life as a priest. I think because it's where I experience my fatherhood in the most kind of tactile, real way. because it's where I get to stand in the place of the Father and love those who are coming to the Father saying, please forgive me. So God has given different gifts to each member of the church. And what the readings this weekend are accentuating are twofold. One, that we get to heaven as a church. And so all of us have been given a particular task, and we just need to continue to return to that. There's a reason why every vocation involves a set of promises. I took promises. On your wedding day, you took promises. Every vocation involves promises. Why? Because love is a commitment, and a promise is an expression of that commitment. And for those of you who haven't yet entered into a vocation, let me tell you, the world would want to tell you that a promise is something that's going to bind you. You should keep your options open. Don't back yourself into a corner. Leave all your possibilities open, because once you start making promises, then you're screwed. Then you're kind of like locked into one thing, and your life is going to be miserable. The opposite is the reality. All of us desire a mission. All of us were made to love in a particular way, and love is a promise that I will care for your good even when I maybe don't want to. A priest makes that promise with regard to all the people. For a couple, you make that promise to your spouse. And the only way that love finds its expression in the world is people obeying that promise that they made. And the mystery is this, that we find life in the midst of that promise. What if Mary had said to Jesus, "Oh, Jesus, you should keep your options open. Don't back yourself into this preacher corner, No, you should keep your options open. Don't be so absolute. Don't say you have to go to Jerusalem to suffer and die. Maybe there's something else you should be doing. Keep your options open." Then none of us would be saved, and love never would have conquered sin. And yet, the only way that we find fulfillment is in the process of fulfilling our vocation. And God has given each of us our vocation in order to complete the church. So we get to heaven as a church, and our role in the church is our particular vocation. So this weekend we ask him, Jesus, give me a renewed desire for my vocation if that has fizzled and gone away. That's a beautiful prayer. Jesus, I don't have that desire anymore. I get tired of cooking for my children. I get tired of cleaning up after my spouse. I get tired of putting on a smile when I come home from work. Jesus, give me that desire again. Because it's through my vocation, the only way that love comes into the world is as we fulfill our promises to God and to one another. So Jesus, give me a desire for my vocation. And for those of you young people who maybe yet haven't entered into your vocation, a beautiful prayer is the same thing. Jesus, give me a desire for my vocation. Maybe I don't yet know what you're calling me to, Lord. Give me a desire for it and give me the courage to follow it, whatever it might be. Because hands down, the reality is this: the most fulfilling life and the happiest life will be doing what you call me to. Lord, show me the way that you want me to love in this world.